despair, trauma, loneliness. The presence of God swept away. A rich man saw Lazarus, the bosom of Abraham. Abraham and Lazarus were in paradise, but the rich man made his bed in hell.
It's fascinating to see that Abraham was in a parable that Jesus talked about after the life of Abraham, many years after. And it's also interesting to notice that when the rich man sees Lazarus, he sees Lazarus in the bosom of Abraham in paradise. So Abraham, you see him in heaven, and you see the person from hell looking to Abraham in heaven, and even asking for Father Abraham for a drop of water. It's also interesting to note that Abraham, who defeated those 4 kings when he was rescuing his nephew Lot, Abraham went to Melchizedek, and Melchizedek greeted Abraham by mentioning the God of heaven, because Melchizedek introduced Abraham with the God of heaven as the possessor of heaven and earth, the Most High God, which is called El Elyon. Abraham understood that greeting. He was basically serving the Most High God, El Elyon, the possessor of heaven and earth. So Abraham, having this foundation, it isn't surprising to see him in heaven with Lazarus, because the possessor of heaven and earth allowed it to happen. And Abraham's circle is so big because he's hanging out with godlike figures from El Elyon's kingdom. A lot of people speculate it was El Elyon that even came to visit Abraham. Abraham had direct contact with El Elyon. He spoke to God. He's known as the friend of God. And we can understand that Abraham, his name is popular throughout the whole Christian community because he's a patriarch. He's the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham is also popular in the Muslim community, the Islamic community, because of his affiliations through his other sons. Abraham's circle is truly with the celestials, with the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth.
Being friends with the Most High God comes at a price for Father Abraham. He would be asked to commit the ultimate sacrifice, to kill his son, the promised son, Isaac.
This incident, by God requesting Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac, it's purely because God wanted to have Abraham feel what it's like to be a father and to sacrifice a son, because we know in the future God is going to sacrifice his son, Jesus Christ. And Abraham was getting a little preview, a little taste of the future of what is going to be like for a father to sacrifice his only son. And since Isaac was the promised son, his sacrifice would not be sufficient to save mankind. Therefore, God told Abraham he did not need to sacrifice his son. It was a test of faith. And isn't it wonderful when Jesus tells the woman at Simon's house that your faith has saved you?